For more than 1,000 years, Europe lived in what historians later called the Dark Ages. It was a time of war, disease, and religious control. Art was limited to religious symbols, science was seen as a threat, and curiosity, the very thing that makes us human, was suppressed. But around the 14th century, something began to change. It started quietly in the cities of Italy, Florence, Venice, Rome. Merchants grew rich from trade. Cities became centers of wealth, education, and culture. And people began to look at the world not just through the eyes of faith, but through the eyes of reason. They called this new awakening Rinascimento, in Latin, Renaissance, meaning rebirth. The Renaissance wasn't just about paintings or sculptures. It was a rebirth of ideas. For the first time in centuries, people started asking, what if humans are not just sinners, but creators? What if beauty, knowledge, and progress are divine in themselves? This new way of thinking was called humanism, the belief that humans have value, reason, and power to shape their own destiny. It inspired artists, scientists, and philosophers to explore the limits of the mind. In art, painters like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo changed everything. Before them, art was flat, symbolic, and spiritual. But Leonardo painted life as it was, with light, shadow, and emotion. Michelangelo carved marble into living flesh, proving that the human form itself was a masterpiece. Their works weren't just art, they were revolutions. At the same time, science was reborn. Galileo Galilei pointed his telescope at the sky and proved that the Earth was not the center of the universe. Copernicus challenged the authority of centuries-old belief, and though many were condemned for their discoveries, the seed of modern science had been planted. But the Renaissance wasn't limited to Italy. It spread across Europe, to France, England, Germany, and beyond. Writers like Shakespeare explored the depths of human emotion. Inventors like Gutenberg changed the world with the printing press, making books and knowledge available to everyone. For the first time in history, ideas could travel faster than armies. By the 16th century, Europe was no longer in darkness. The Renaissance had transformed it politically, artistically, intellectually. It laid the foundation for the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and the modern world we live in today. It was more than just a period in history. It was proof that human beings could rise from ignorance and create beauty from chaos. The Renaissance taught us something timeless, that even after centuries of darkness, the human mind can find light again. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all, that every generation has its own Renaissance waiting to happen.